These are the sneaker releases in November 2024 that you need to know about. And this might actually be the best sneaker release month we've had all year. This is Sit or Sell. Starting things off on November 1st, we've got two new colorways of the Nike Clogposites. The two colorways that are dropping are the black and metallic gold and the sand drift in black. Essentially like an iridescent green and a tan. This shoe is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a clog version of the Foamposite. It first released back in the early 2000s, and apparently it was popular enough for them to want to bring it back in the 2024s. And it's just such an odd looking sneaker because while I love clogs, this particular shoe is just a weird version of a clog. Like I wouldn't have thought of Foamposite as the first Nike shoe to actually clogify. But hey, Nike's gonna do what Nike's gonna do. If you like this shoe, that's great. You can grab a pair for 140 bucks. And honestly, I don't think either of these colorways are gonna be that difficult to get. So because of that, I'm giving both of these colorways a sit. Of course, if you want to grab any of the shoes that I mentioned in today's video, I've made sure to link them all through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen right there. Next up, we've got the Grade School Air Jordan 4 Pure Platinum. So I'm not gonna lie, this is actually a pretty clean new colorway of the Air Jordan 4. Unfortunately though, it's only coming in grade school sizes. The upper is made up of this sort of pearl or I guess iridescent white material, and then you've also got black accents around the mudguard of the sneaker as well as on the midfoot of the shoe. Of course, the entire look is rounded off by cream hits on the midsole and on the laces, and honestly, it's a clean look. I mean, sure, I would have preferred if the upper of the shoe was just a standard white leather and not this sort of pearlized look, but it's not bad. And I really do think if this shoe dropped in men's sizes, it might be pretty popular. However, when it comes to grade school shoes, they just don't really tend to move like that unless they're an OG colorway or a pair that their parents are also getting. So because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sit. Doesn't mean it's a bad shoe though. I think it's actually a very clean look. And if they ever bring it to men's sizes, or I guess men's and women's sizes, might do well. Rounding off November 1st, we've got Amine's first collaboration with New Balance, the 740 V2 Benson Tech. Now, full disclosure, I'm not familiar with Amine whatsoever, so I don't actually know really anything about who they are or what this collaboration is about. I will say though that it's a very clean look on the 740 V2s. I recently grabbed a pair for myself and I was thinking about doing a review, but I decided against it. This shoe is fire. This shoe is really fire, and I think any collaboration on this silhouette will probably do well, especially when it looks as good as this collaboration. Now, yes, it does have some Nick vibes to it because of the blue and orange. I don't think that's the inspiration behind the shoe, but I could be wrong. Either way, it does have some Nick vibes to it, especially because that orange mesh looks almost like a basketball. So hey, if you're a Nick fan, I'm sure you're gonna be wanting to grab this shoe for yourself, but either way, very clean look and a shoe that I'd love to grab for retail. And as we've learned over the last 2 or 3 years, New Balance collaborations tend to be pretty hot. And because of that, this shoe probably will end up selling out, especially because of the amount of hype that this shoe has around it right now. So if you want a pair of these, not gonna be easy. And of course, the shoe is definitely getting a sell. Moving on to November 2nd, we've got the Nike Dunk Low Pale Ivory Baltic Blue. So without being too overtly Dodgers, this shoe is technically an LA themed sneaker. In fact, it has LA on the tongue of the sneaker written in clouds. And the fact that the Dodgers are up 3-1 right now in the World Series means that this shoe is probably going to be incredibly popular, especially when it drops, because there's a lot of Dodgers fans out there who want to rep their team, and I totally get that. And honestly, as someone who doesn't care about baseball, this shoe is fire. I mean, the nubuck used on this shoe looks buttery, and the fade from like a cream on the toe towards a light blue on the heel is a very clean look. And really, I don't care that much about the LA branding on the tongue or the palm tree Nike swoosh on the side of the sneaker. They're all fine. It's a good looking sneaker, and it's something that if I can find it for retail, I'll go for. I'm not gonna go out of my way to get it, but if it happens to be there or fall into my lap, sure. Now this shoe does retail for $125, so it's more expensive than a standard pair of Nike Dunks, but because of the materials, that doesn't totally surprise me. And I think if the Dodgers weren't in the World Series and if they weren't up 3-1, this shoe might not be as popular as I think it's gonna be, but because of the position we found ourselves in the baseball world, I do think this shoe will be incredibly popular, especially if they win, so I'm giving this shoe a sell. Also dropping on November 2nd is the Air Jordan 14 Black Toe. So I have dropped a full review on this sneaker, and if you guys want to check that out, there will be a link somewhere on your screen. It's a fire pair of sneakers, and I'm genuinely shocked that there doesn't seem to be that much hype behind this sneaker. However, I think that probably will change on release day. So this shoe is an OG colorway of the Air Jordan 14s. It features a white leather upper accented by black suede on the toe. That's the reason it's called the Black Toes. And if you're looking for a pair of Air Jordan 14s, this is a great way to go. I mean, sure, the shoe is expensive at $210, but I don't think it'll be that difficult to get. So if you want to grab it for retail, I think there's a good shot. In my opinion, the Air Jordan 14 is one of the last great Air Jordan retros. I mean, yes, the 15s are fine, and the 16s are fine, and the 17s are fine, but when you think of Air Jordan retros, you mainly think of 1 through 14. Some people only think of like 1 through 12 or 1 through 13, but I think the 14 should be included on that list. It's a very clean and classic pair of Air Jordan sneakers, and while I don't think it's gonna fly off shelves, like I don't think it's gonna be impossible to get, I do think it will sell out quickly-ish, like in the first day or two. So because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sell, and I'd say if you want it, don't wait, pick it up when you find it, because I'm sure it'll be sitting in Foot Lockers like a day or two after release, but maybe not that much longer. Oh, before I forget, if you want to have a chance at winning a $200 StockX gift card, I've made sure to link the 4th and final core badge in the top of the description below. You need to have all 4 core badges in order to be entered for that giveaway, so click that link and check out some of my previous videos to get some of the other core badges. That's just a heads up if you're following along with the core badges. Link right there. Next up is Pharrell's collaboration on the Adidas Adios Evo Pro 1. So at first glance, you might be like, that's just a regular marathon running sneaker. Why do I care about this release? Why do I want to spend $500 on this release? Because yes, this shoe is $500. Well, the reason that some people might want to spend $500 on this sneaker is that this is by far the most limited shoe in today's video. It's limited to just 85 pairs. This was actually the silhouette and the colorway that Pharrell wore when he was a torchbearer for the Paris Olympics. And now this racing super shoe is finally available to the public. And yes, there are only 85 pairs and they're $500 each. Now sure, $500 sounds absolutely absurd for a retail price for a pair of sneakers, but there's a lot of tech packed into this shoe. I mean, think about the Nike Zoom Alpha Fly Next Percent 3s. That shoe's $280 and it's one of the best marathon running sneakers out there. This shoe apparently is lighter than that shoe, got more tech specs crammed in there. I don't know how they crammed it in there, but there's more going on, and it's also stupid limited. And aesthetically, it's not bad if you like that sort of marathon runner vibe. And aesthetically, it's not bad if you like that sort of marathon runner vibe. I know personally I'm gonna try and grab a pair just purely for a video because I think that'd be a fun video to do. But this shoe is ridiculously limited and your chance of getting a pair is probably next to zero. Now obviously if the shoe wasn't tied to Pharrell and wasn't stupid limited, it probably would have no hype behind it whatsoever except for the running community. But because of the situation surrounding this shoe, in my opinion, this shoe will absolutely sell out instantly. I don't know anything about the release procedures. It might only release in the Confirmed app. It might only release in stores. I have no idea. If you're interested in this shoe, you got to do some more research on it, but it's stupid limited. That's all I can say. It's very, very limited. Then finishing off November 2nd, we've got the JJOUND Asics GT 2160s. JJOUND is a Japanese brand that's collaborated many times on New Balances, and of course all of those New Balances not only sell out, but sell for crazy money. I don't know if that'll be the case with these Asics, but it honestly wouldn't surprise me. And usually their collaborations are pretty understated, and that seems to be the case with this JJOUND Asics GT 2160. Now from what I can tell, it seems like there are 2 colorways dropping, a white, silver, and green colorway, and a black, silver, and gray colorway, and both of these colorways are, again, pretty simple, but very clean. If you like that Asics running sneaker aesthetic. I mean, if you're not into that aesthetic, you probably don't like these sneakers at all, but either way, they're cool. The GT 2160 is a pretty solid Asics silhouette, and if you haven't tried a pair of Asics before, I think this is a great way to jump in, especially if you're a JJOUND fan. Now, the retail price for both of these colorways is going to be $150. That being said, they're probably not going to be that easy to get for that price. So realistically, if you want a pair of these, you will probably have to pay resale. But I do think both of these colorways are clean, and personally, I guess I'd prefer the white colorway, but the black one's also super, super clean. And obviously, I think that both of these colorways will end up selling out. Continuing on to November 5th, we've got the Converse This Is Never That One Star Pro. Speaking of understated collaborations, this collaboration is ridiculously understated. I never even realized this is a This Is Never That collaboration until I read on Nike's website that this is what it is. And not that it is never that. That was a bad pun, but you know what? I'm gonna leave it in. The shoe comes in sort of a forest green canvas upper accented by white hits on the One Star logo and also on the midsole. And honestly, it's a $90 pair of Converses. If you're into Converse, if you're into This Is Never That, this is a great shoe to go with, but I don't know what the hype is gonna be like for this shoe. It could be crazy, but I don't think it will be. So for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sit. Also dropping on the 5th, we've got the Nike Air 180 in black and white. Originally designed by Tinker Hatfield, Nike has reintroduced this sneaker and it's become a very popular silhouette in the 2020s. This colorway comes in a primarily black upper accented by a white Nike swoosh, and of course, like I said, the colorway on Nike's website is called the black and white colorway, even though it seems like the primary accent colors on this shoe are blue and green. A lot of you guys call me colorblind in the comment section, but some of these colors are tough, man. I'm really not colorblind. It's a clean colorway on a clean silhouette. I'm sure some of you have nostalgia for this shoe, but I just don't think this shoe is gonna sell out. Next up on November 6th, we've got 2 different colorways of the 100 Thieves Adidas Palos Hills collaboration. So this collaboration takes place in a silhouette that looks a lot like the classic Adidas handballs or gazelles or really any of those classic retro Adidas silhouettes. And this collab comes in 2 different colorways, like I mentioned, a black and red and a red and black. They are different shoes, they just kind of inverse the colors. Adidas has really been digging into the esports space. They've had collaborations with Ninja and now they're having a collaboration with 100 Thieves. And honestly, I think this one's better than the Ninja collab. I think both of these colorways are super clean. clean. I think if I personally was going to grab one of these colors, it would be the black, white, and red. However, that red, white, and black is also pretty clean. And they're both only 130 bucks, so the price point is not that nuts. In terms of hype, I don't know what the hype is going to be like. I don't think it's that crazy, so I think if you want a pair of these, it shouldn't be that difficult, but I don't know if they're going to sit around for a month. If I had to guess, I think these shoes will probably be a sit for most sizes, but who knows. Continuing on to November 7th, we've got the Nike Dunk Low Next Nature N7. So this shoe is another one of the yearly N7 sneakers that Nike releases. This time around, it's on a pair of Nike Dunks. It's also a Next Nature Nike Dunk, which means it uses some sort of sustainable or recycled materials. And the colorway of this shoe is pretty clean. You've got a white leather upper, some tealish blue overlays, you've got black, you've got red, you've got cream even on the midsole. It's clean. I don't know what the popularity is going to be like on this shoe. I'm assuming it's going to be popular, more popular than most other Nike Dunks, but probably not insanely popular. So because of that, I am going to give this shoe a sit, but it's still a fire sneaker. Dropping on the same day, we've got the Nike Air Max 1 86 Blue Ribbon Sports. So the 86 or Big Bubble variant of the Nike Air Max 1 first released a couple years ago, and it's how the original Air Max 1 used to look. For a lot of reasons that I covered in the original review of the Nike Air Max 1 86 when it first released, the bubble had to be shrunk about 6 months after the sneaker first released because it started to crack when it froze. And in 2023, Nike sort of brought back this shoe in a new way, and it seems like since then we've been getting new colorways of the Big Bubble Air Max 1s. And this BRS or Blue Ribbon Sports colorway of the shoe comes in green, yellow, and orange. If you're not aware, Blue Ribbon Sports is what Nike used to be called before it was called Nike, and this is also sort of a legacy colorway, so it all kind of ties back to the beginning of Nike. It's a very clean colorway on a very clean shoe, but is it something that I want to run out to the store and grab? Probably not. Weirdly enough, if this was a golf version of the shoe, I probably would buy it because I think this is like a great golf colorway, but for me personally, it's a pass, and I don't think it's going to be incredibly hyped up either, so because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sit. Next up, we've got the A$AP Rocky Puma Monstro 3D. So this shoe is one of Puma's, if not Puma's first, fully 3D printed sneakers. And it's got this insane hexagonal sort of alien monster vibe to it. Now this shoe first released in a red and black colorway, and it looks like now on the 7th we're getting a black and green colorway, and personally I think the black and green colorway hits a little bit harder and is a bit wilder looking. I tried to grab the first one when it dropped, but I honestly forgot about the release, and by the time I got to it, like an hour later, they were gone, so unfortunately, I couldn't get it, but maybe I can grab this black and green pair. I think it's fire. I have a weird thing for 3D printed shoes. I love them, and I think this shoe is just an amazing version of a 3D printed shoe. The sneaker retails for $250, and most likely will be pretty limited because 3D printed sneakers right now are not the fastest sneakers to make, and I'm sure there's not like a lot of size options available. I actually don't know because I missed out on the original release, but that's my guess. It's a wild one-piece 3D printed sneaker that looks like a blast to rock. I'd love to try it out, and hopefully I can, but most likely it's going to be difficult to get, and it's probably going to end up selling out. Moving on to November 8th, we've got the Nike Pegasus Wave in Light Lemon Twist. So this shoe is a lifestyle version of the Nike Pegasus inspired by 2000s running sneakers, and in my opinion, they're trying to sort of recapture the hype that the Vomero 5 has. Now, I personally have not yet had a chance to try the Pegasus Wave. I really want to. I think it's a cool looking sneaker, but I really don't know if Nike can strike lightning twice with this silhouette. I think this green colorway is fine. It's definitely not going to be the most popular, but it probably will sell some units, and I think if you want it, for 100 and how much? 160 bucks? Not a bad buy, but I just don't think this shoe is going to sell. Jumping ahead to November 9th, we've got the Air Jordan 9 Olive. This colorway is one of the original colorways of the Air Jordan 9s, a shoe that released when Michael Jordan traded in basketball for baseball. Unfortunately, unlike Deion Sanders, who was able to go to both a World Series and a Super Bowl, Michael Jordan was not able to go to a World Series and the NBA Finals, just the NBA Finals. But you know what? It's fine. He's still the greatest basketball player of all time. Debate me in the comments. I promise you, you will lose. Not to me, just to all the Michael Jordan fans.
Call me when LeBron has 6 championships.
Is that your only argument?
It's the only argument I need, Sean!
Like the original, this shoe comes with a black perforated leather upper accented by olive overlays. And of course, you've got your red hits on the Jumpman on the heel as well as on the tongue of the sneaker. And I just think it's one of those classic Air Jordan 9 colorways that if you love Jordan sneakers, you're probably gonna have to pick up a pair for yourself just to have all the OGs. My goal has been to grab as many of the OG colorways as I can whenever they re-release. I still haven't grabbed the UNC 9s. I'm waiting for that to drop in price even more. But this shoe is fire. I think the shoe will be more popular than the UNC 9s. And while I don't know if this shoe will sell out, I'd say if you want a pair of these, at least try and grab them when they drop because they could. So just to be safe, we're gonna give these shoes a sell, so you make sure that you're there on release day, but they could sit. But still, giving them a sell. Then rounding off the 9th, we've got the return of one of the most coveted Nike sneakers of all time, the Nike Dunk High Wu-Tang Clan. For the first time ever, Nike is bringing back this sneaker as not an incredibly limited sneaker. They've really been doing that a lot recently, and you know what? While it's a good thing for a lot of people out there who've wanted to grab this shoe because they actually like the shoe, the hype beast inside of me sometimes hates it because it's like, there are some shoes that are grail sneakers that you always look at sneaker events and you're like, one day, you know, when I'm a millionaire, I'll have $20,000 to spend on that shoe. And I like that chase, But when they bring back a shoe like this, sometimes you kind of lose that. You kind of lose the fun of the sneaker. That is purely the hype beast in me talking. I don't have any $20,000 sneakers, and I probably never will, even if I do become a millionaire, because that's probably not a great use of money. But, and realistically, even though there are going to be more pairs of these available, it's still not going to be an easy shoe to grab. In fact, the resale market for the sneaker right now is still like $600. Of course, you can check the resale price for this shoe whenever you're watching this video through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen, but at the time of me filming this, it's like $500 or $600. Like the original sneaker, you've got a black leather upper accented by yellow overlays, and of course, you've got the Wu-Tang Clan logo embroidered onto the heel, and it's one of those iconic Grail sneakers that I think a lot of people are going to want. The retail price for this shoe is going to be $150, which is high for a pair of Nike Dunk Highs, but it's because it's a special version of the shoe and Nike knows they can do it. So that's why they're going to do it. And I honestly think no matter how limited this shoe is, whether it's 50 pairs or 5 million pairs, I wouldn't be surprised if this shoe ends up selling out just because of what it is. Moving on to November 11th, we've got the Nike LeBron Trainer 1 Better with Age. This brown colorway of the brand new Nike LeBron Trainer 1 features sort of tealish or blue accents on the outsole and also on the logos, and it's a pair of shoes that I'm actually really interested in trying out for myself. Obviously, 2 colorways of this shoe have already released, so this is not the first colorway of this sneaker, and because of that, I just think the hype is probably dead already, so it's probably not going to sell out. But I will say that I do think this is my favorite colorway to drop so far. If you're not familiar with this silhouette, it's LeBron's very first training sneaker. It's not actually a basketball shoe, it's made specifically for training, and from what I've heard, it's decent. It comes in at a retail price of $130, and like I've already said, I think this colorway will probably end up sitting. Also, very fittingly, dropping on the 11th, we've got the women's Air Jordan 11 Bred Velvet. As you can tell from these images, this shoe is essentially just a Bred Air Jordan 11 with velvet on the upper instead of ballistic nylon and patent leather. And it's also only releasing in women's sizing. I don't know what the size range is going to be, but it's probably not going to go up to like a size 15 men's. Most likely stop at like a size 11 or 12, I'm not sure. But either way, the Bred 11s are my favorite Air Jordan 11s of all time, so it is nice to see this colorway come back because we haven't had it since I think 2019, so 5 years at this point. But I'm not gonna lie, I wish this shoe was coming back in just a standard Air Jordan 11 makeup. This velvet is fine, but I don't know, it's not the same. Unfortunately, the shoe is going to be expensive and retail for $230, which is more than a standard pair of Air Jordan 11s, or at least the same price. And I do think there is going to be some hype behind this shoe, but not a huge amount. So I will say for the larger sizes, I would not be surprised if they ended up selling out, but for the smaller sizes, they're probably going to sit. So overall, I'm going to give this shoe a sit, but if you have like a size 12 foot and you want to grab a pair of these, be quick, because there's probably like 10 pairs of them. Rounding off November 11th, we've got 2 different colorways of the Clot Adidas Gazelle. Over the last year, Adidas has been absolutely killing it, not only with very popular styles like the Samba just being incredibly popular and the Gazelle being incredibly popular, but with some incredible collaborations, and this Clot collab is absolutely fire. The colorways that they're dropping are a cream and white colorway and a navy and white colorway, and honestly, I would be fine with either of these shoes. They look amazing. Unlike a standard pair of Gazelles, there's a lot of stitch details going on this shoe, especially around the heel area of the sneaker, and the Adidas 3 stripes have some sort of weird texture to them. I'm not sure if it's stitched or if it's some kind of finish that's glued on. I'm not sure, but either way, very unique and very cool. Both of these colorways are going to retail for $160, and I honestly couldn't tell you which colorway is going to be more popular. I'm tempted to think the blue colorway, but they both could fly, and honestly, I do think they're both going to fly, so because of that, giving them both a sell. Moving on to November 15th, we've got the Nike LeBron 22 Monopoly. This shoe is inspired by one of the James family's favorite game night games, Monopoly. And this colorway is pretty clean. You've got this Monopoly money print on the upper, you've got this metallic silver around the heel of the shoe, and honestly, in general, the LeBron 22 is a pretty nice looking sneaker. The shoe retails for $200, but I really don't know how limited this shoe is going to be. And because of that, it's hard for me to determine whether the shoe is going to sit or sell, but in my heart, I think the shoe is going to sit, so I'm going to give it a sit. Also dropping on the 15th is the Nike KD17 Aunt Pearl. Every year around October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Nike and KD release a new version of the Aunt Pearl sneakers. This year, they kind of released 2 versions of the shoe. They released the retro of the 4s back in October, and now they're releasing the new version of the shoe, the 17s, in November. This time around, the shoe comes with a very light pink upper, accented by darker shades of pink on the Nike swoosh and on the outsole, and it's a pretty understated Aunt Pearl colorway. One detail that I really like on this shoe is the AP that's embroidered onto the heel of the left shoe, next to the KD embroidered on the right shoe, obviously for Aunt Pearl, and I think the entire package is very well done. It's not my favorite Aunt Pearl colorway, but I do think it's a very well done sneaker this time around. And I actually just noticed this now when I'm taking a closer look at the shoe, but there's actually roses embroidered into the heel of the shoe as well, which is a very nice subtle touch. This KD17 Aunt Pearl is going to retail for $160. I love the sneaker, I think it's great, but I don't think the shoe is going to sell out. Then rounding off the 15th, we've got the Nike Dbook 1 Sunset. Obviously, this shoe is a Phoenix Suns inspired colorway. I mean, that's pretty clear from the deep purple upper and the orange and white and yellow outsole. It's a really nice looking pair of Dbook ones. Is it something that I would want to grab personally? Not really, I'm not a Suns fan, but it is a clean look, and if you are a Suns fan, sure, pick it up. It's gonna retail for 140 bucks, and because I think it's a GR colorway, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up sitting on shelves. Next up, on November 16th, we've got the Air Jordan 4 Fear. So I've already dropped a full review on this sneaker, and if you want to check that out, I definitely recommend it because I go in depth into the Fear 4 2024. But to fill you guys in a little bit, this shoe originally released back in 2013 as part of the Fear pack. It came along with a pair of Air Jordan 3s and a pair of Air Jordan 5s. And every year, seemingly for the 35th anniversary of a particular silhouette, we're getting a Fear version of that shoe retroing for the first time ever. Last year, we had the Air Jordan 3 Fears retro for the 35th anniversary of the Air Jordan 3s. This year, we're having the Air Jordan 4 Fears retro, and presumably next year we'll have the Air Jordan 5 Fears retro. But out of all of the Fear sneakers from this pack, the Fear 4s are by far my favorite. This shoe looks absolutely amazing. It features this nubuck upper that sort of fades from like a white all the way up to a dark black towards the top of the shoe. It kind of goes through tonal grays. It's sick. But my favorite part of the shoe is actually the midsole, which also has a gradient on it, but it also has this white splatter print, which just really makes the midsole pop. And I should mention that APTHCRY, my sock brand, is launching our own Fear themed socks this Friday, November 1st on APTHCRY.com. If you guys want to grab a pair of socks that perfectly match the shoes. I mean, if you're grabbing the Fear 4s and you want to get a pair of socks that match perfectly, then that's a good way to go. Either way, it's an incredible pair of Air Jordan 4s. It's one of my favorite non-OG colorways of the 4s, and it's launching again on the 16th for a retail price of 215 bucks. And in my opinion, even though Air Jordan 4s haven't been flying off shelves like they were earlier this year and last year, this shoe is absolutely going to sell out. Dropping on the same day, we've got a new colorway of the Travis Scott Jordan Jumpman Jacks in Mocha. So I'm pretty sure this is the third colorway of the Jumpman Jacks that we're getting this time around. It's a tonal brown makeup. You've got very dark browns, possibly even black. You've got less dark browns, and then you've got sort of a chocolatey brown making up the entire shoe. And this shoe reminds me a lot of the color scheme that you find on the velvet brown Travis Scott Air Jordan 1s that are dropping in December. Travis seems to love that sort of chocolatey brown look, which I kind of dig on this shoe. I actually like it better on this shoe than on the Jordan 1s. And I think the reason for that is because there's more variation in the colors and the tones on this shoe. There's just more going on, more separation between the panels. On the Jordan 1 lows, it just all seems like one shade of brown, and it just doesn't really work for me. On this shoe, there's a lot more variation going on, so I think I prefer this to that shoe. But honestly, it could be poop green. It doesn't matter. Travis Scott Jumpman Jacks are gonna sell out, which is crazy because earlier this year I thought the Jordan brand was just gonna flood the market with these and no one was gonna care about them, but it seems like they're taking a much more limited approach and dropping like one every 2 or 3 months in very limited quantities. And then maybe eventually they'll flood the market. I'm not sure. But either way, right now, they're still incredibly hyped up. And it's the kind of shoe that I don't think is reselling for crazy money, like not in the thousands, but it definitely is moving for some money. Like the other Jumpman Jacks, this Mocha colorway is going to retail for 200 bucks. And while I think this Mocha colorway will probably be the least popular of all the colorways that have dropped so far, I do think it's going to sell out. And so for that reason, I'm giving it a sell. Moving on to November 20th, we've got the Awake NY Nike Jordan Airship in Royal. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this shoe in like 2 or 3 Sitter Sell videos already, and that's because I keep pushing this shoe back. It's possible they push it back again, I don't know. But I've talked about this shoe so much already, I'm sick of it. I don't care about it anymore. It's a white Jordan Airship. It's fine. It's got the Awake logo on it. I don't mind it, but I've talked about it like 4 times already, so I'm over it. It's blue. It's a blue version of the shoe. You've seen the red ones, this is the blue ones. Again, it's fine, nothing wrong with it. It's retailing for 150 bucks, but in my opinion, based on the reception of the other pair that dropped earlier this year, I just do not see this shoe selling out. Rounding off the 20th, we've got the Nike KD4 Christmas. Returning for the first time ever alongside a lot of other popular KD4 releases, we're finally getting the Christmas KD4s back again in 2024. I really miss great Christmas themed sneakers. That was something that was huge in like the early 2010s, especially with Nike and their basketball sneakers, but nowadays it's not really the same. But we're finally getting the KD4 Christmases back, which I'll be real, I never really felt like were Christmas shoes. I know that there's something that ties them in with Christmas. I just don't know what it is. They look like bronze shoes to me. They're still cool to me though. They kind of look like the foot of a statue, kind of like that Dwayne Wade statue. I can't find a way to tie it in other than the fact that it's a statue, but that statue sucks. The accent color on the shoe is black, used on the Nike swoosh, the midsole, the laces, all that sort of good stuff. But from what I can tell, it's pretty much exactly the same as the original. This time around it retails for 130 bucks, and all around it looks very similar, if not the same, to the original release. Now this time around it retails for $130. I don't remember what the original pair retailed for. Wouldn't surprise me if it was also 130 bucks, but I don't know for sure. However, I don't think the shoe is going to sell out. We've seen with other KD4 sneakers that were once incredibly popular, like the Nerfs, like the Aunt Pearls. Both of those shoes are in recent videos that I did about sneakers that are reselling for under retail, and I feel like this shoe is going to be the same, although honestly I feel like this colorway is the most wearable out of those last 2 that I mentioned. So it might do better, but I kind of doubt it. So because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sit. Dropping on November 21st, we've got the Anti-Hero Nike SB Dunk High. This Anti-Hero SB collaboration comes in a tonal white makeup. You've got cracked leather on the toe and on the midfoot, and then a brighter white tumbled leather on the accent panels of the shoe. It looks like Anti-Hero and Nike SB decided to keep this SB Dunk High pretty simple. Like, it's a pretty plain looking sneaker, but I think for fans of skateboarding and SBs and Anti-Hero, they're gonna eat the shoe up. Of course, you've got the Anti-Hero logo on the tongue tag, as well as deboss into the heel of the shoe, and all around, it's a clean look and one that I think a lot of people are gonna really like. Pricing wise, the shoe is gonna retail for 145 bucks, and while yes, this shoe is a simple looking sneaker, I do think there's gonna be a lot of hype behind it, so because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sell. Moving on to November 23rd, we get to one of the shoes that I've been anticipating this entire year, a shoe that I'm so excited about, and that is the Air Jordan 3 Black Cement 2024. This is another shoe that I've dropped a full review on. Seriously, check that review out. I love this shoe, and I go really into depth about this sneaker in that review, but overall, this is a retro of the Air Jordan 3 Black Cements. Now, while the shoe was thought to be not so much a reimagining, but a return to the OG, the shoe itself looks more like the 2018 pair than it does like the original pair. Realistically though, that's not a bad thing. I still think it's a great looking sneaker. It actually looks almost identical to the 2018 pair, minus a couple changes and tweaks, but it's still a great looking sneaker. It's still one of the best Air Jordan colorways of all time, and it's still one of my favorite sneakers of all time. I mean, shoot, just look at it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I love it so much. This new 2024 retro of the Black Cement 3s is dropping for $220, which is a little high, I'm not gonna lie, but the good news is if you wanted a pair of these and you were worried it was gonna sell out, they're dropping a bunch of these. Like, there's tons and tons and tons of pairs available. It's ridiculous. But for those of you like myself who want to double up, that's a great thing because you could definitely grab a pair for either retail or close to. I definitely think that the release of this shoe is going to be similar to that of the military blue 4s, where there was a ton of pairs available, but they all completely sold out because the shoe is so popular. I feel like the Black Cement 3s are one of those sneakers that just always will sell out. And because of that, I'm giving this new 2024 release, which could be a GR, a complete sell. Releasing on November 27th, we've got the ScoobyDoo Puma Suede XL. This shoe is one of the most well-themed cartoon sneakers I've ever seen. I mean, it looks just like the Mystery Machine. It's wild. And the details that are done to this pair of Puma Suede XLs are done really, really well. Like, they don't feel tacky, they don't feel cheap. Feels like a really nicely well thought out collaboration. And actually, in addition to the Puma Suede XLs, they're also releasing a Puma MB4, so if you want a basketball version of the shoe, you can grab one. But for me, it's all about this Puma Suede XLs. Now, I was never a huge ScoobyDoo fan, so I'm not gonna like rush out to the store and grab them, but I know a great collaboration when I see it. I know a great implementation of a design on a shoe when I see it, and this is just really well done. For all you ScoobyDoo fans out there, I feel like this is one of the sneakers. It's a must cop. I really don't know how popular it's gonna be, but I wouldn't be surprised if this shoe moves. The good news for you if you want to grab a pair of these is that the retail price is pretty inexpensive at just $95. Now, I really don't know what the popularity is gonna be like I already said. I wouldn't be surprised either way if it's sat or if it's sold. I'm gonna go with the sit, but if you want a pair, try grabbing them sooner rather than later because you really never know. Next up, on November 29th, we've got the Adidas AE1 Low Iron Sharpens Iron. This Anthony Edwards 1 Low comes in this really clean black and metallic silver look. And from what I can tell, this could be one of the most popular AE1 Lows ever released. People seem really excited about this metallic silver look, and I'm not gonna lie, I kinda get it. The shoe is very clean. And while personally, I really don't need any more pairs of AE1 Lows, I do think it's a very clean sneaker, and I think if you like Anthony Edwards or you want to try a pair of AE1 Lows, this is a great pair to go for. Pricing wise, it comes in at the standard $110, at least for the AE1 Lows, and in my opinion, while I don't think it'll completely sell out, I do think most sizes will sell, but I'm still gonna give this shoe a sit because it doesn't completely sell out. Then dropping on November 30th, we've got the Air Jordan 1 Low Game Royal. This shoe essentially is a blue version of the Chicago Air Jordan 1 Lows. It's the exact same color blocking, except instead of red, you've got blue. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this low is super, super clean. And I actually kind of like the fact that they gave it a sail midsole instead of a white midsole. Obviously, Air Jordan 1 Lows have not been incredibly popular this year unless they were Travis Scott Air Jordan 1 Lows. And weirdly enough, you can buy a pair of these right now, a month before they even release, for around retail or slightly above. Which leads me to believe that I think the shoe will probably end up sitting on shelves and will probably end up at outlets, most likely. I mean, we've seen it happen a bunch with the black toes, with not so much the Howards, although the Howards are going for under retail. Really with any of the Air Jordan 1 Lows that have released recently, they all kind of sell for under retail after they release. So I feel like that's going to be the case with this pair, and I definitely think this pair is gonna end up sitting on shelves. That said though, it is still fire and a pair that I wanna pick up for myself. But if you made it to this point in the video, let me know in the comment section down below which one of these releases is your favorite. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.